This video is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
Clay, I think people were already really excited for the game on Saturday night in Bud Walton Arena, but the excitement might have been amped up based on Eric Musselman's comments and some other things that have been insinuated heading into that game.
Well, it just all goes together with what's happened, over the last 2 years, that the momentum, starts in late January, starts to build into February, and by March they're really good. And they were really good Tuesday night. That's as good as I've seen them play in a long time at this point in the season. And, boy, it's pretty sweet to do it against Kentucky.
Clay, you've watched these games from start to finish, the Kentucky-Arkansas series, and I know they played outside before the SEC, but of course the SEC games are what matter. You got Todd Day, Oliver Miller, you got Corliss and company going in there. I don't know if it's ever going to reach what it was in the 90s, but what have you thought about how Arkansas has really dominated the rivalry as of late?
Yeah, dominate might not be a good word. What I will say, well, if you want to say 2-3 years, yeah, but Kentucky's won theirs, over the last 10 years and won championships, both SEC and national. There's been so much written, known about the legacy of Kentucky basketball and one of the great all-time programs. But Arkansas, since they've come into the SEC, that's the team they fear the most. Alabama's good. There's odd years where somebody else in the SEC is threatens them. Georgia did it a little bit when they had Dominic Wilkins and some other guys, but it's of late, the last 30 years, say 32 years, Arkansas is the team that that if you're sitting in Rupp Arena and the Razorbacks come out there, you got to feel your team might lose, and they don't feel that way. They are usually going there to sit to watch a bloodletting, and of late it's been Kentucky blood spilled on the floor.
This is a text from Chris, who's in Harrison this morning, Clay. With Nick supposedly coming back, how do you think the minutes get spread out amongst the Arkansas guards and really the rest of the team?
Yeah, it depends on how Nick plays. He determines that. You say, well, Eric Musselman determines it. No, it's the play of Nick. He's capable of, really taking some minutes away from this team, maybe, 25, 30 when his conditioning rounds into effect. But at the outset, you bring in Nick, and it's probably going to be 15, 16 minutes in, the first game or two. Now, I don't know that. Nobody's told me that. But that would be the way you would guess, from my seat anyway. Where the minutes will be coming from also depends on the matchups. For instance, they were worried about Tshiebwe, and they wanted two bigs out there, so they played the twins together. If that happens, well then, you're taking minutes away from the four, maybe not the 1, 2, 3. But he's going to play the one or the two, and everybody slides up. The good news is that almost all those guys can play multiple positions, so it's interchangeable. Walsh minutes. I wouldn't think he'd come in as a starter, Ty. I think he would come in off the bench, and maybe that means whatever. But it's who plays well doesn't lose minutes. Who doesn't play well in a game or two, they lose minutes, and maybe they don't get them back. But you've got your 6 or 7 guys that are going to play. But it's all a feel thing, and if he plays just average, maybe nobody loses a lot of minutes. Maybe Devo loses 5 minutes. Maybe Anthony Black loses 5. Maybe Ricky Council loses 5, and then there's your 15 or 16 minutes right there.
And I thought it would be a benefit long term with so many of the Arkansas guards having to play so many minutes as of late. So I think it could help them, and not just for skill, but in terms of just conditioning wise. It just helps them log less minutes on their legs.
Well, one of the things that you have to say is that they are in shape right now, and that's what you have to worry about with Nick, because that last 10 minutes of the Kentucky game, Kentucky gave it up. And, I mean, they didn't have their legs, and Arkansas was quicker to the ball, quicker to rebounds. So you didn't, I worried as hard as they played in the first half that they would not be able to, this is Arkansas, would not be able to maintain that. And Kentucky would kind of overpower them in, the last 10 minutes, but just the opposite happened.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.